Alrighty, welcome back everybody to Aligning with Success. Mike DiMuccio here, your host. And I've got some things that I want to go over, which are a reflection on a couple of things. But before we do that, are there any questions out there? I know I put out a contest at first, by the way, just for Canadians, but they were slow on the switch. So I decided to open it up to the rest of the world to show the rest of the world that there's a pulse out there outside of Canada, to show the Canadians. And you guys started putting stuff out, some videos out, and they're all kind of neat and different and whatnot. And there's 20, I think there's 22, 23. I think there's 22 or 23. I don't know. I sent a flurry of them out because I'm asking for help in narrowing down the field of participants to the top 5, and then I'll select from there the top 3. So have a little patience with me. There's a number of things going on. Anyway, but what I wanted to bring up about that, I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about that. I don't know if you were catching the dialogue, if you were catching my drift in my text messages throughout some of the videos coming out. I would drop a little hint here and there, trying to bring you back to the original intention and description of what it was that I was after. And it was frustrating for me because without actually, making anybody feel bad, I didn't want anybody to feel bad about their entries because, it's great that you guys participated. Those of you who did, I think it's fantastic. And I hope you got something out of it because you put yourself out there. Some of the videos, I thought they're going to be great videos for the person who did the video to post on their social media, like their Instagram or and by the way, the reason for a minute is because it can be posted on Instagram. And so you could do an Instagram post with some instructions on directing people to your Nikan personal web page. And soon when we get the new web pages out, you'll be able to direct them to a very specific URL. So it drives them directly to your waterfall. So it's an exercise in getting you ready for marketing online through videos. And so I thought it was really important to do that. And some of the videos, by the way, could be just a really good let loose video that kind of gives people a bit of an introduction to the product and so forth. What I'm looking for specifically are video testimonies to go on a website. Now, I've shared this website with many of you before. I'll share it with you again tonight because I'm going to make it available to anybody who wants it. And what it will be is a place that you can market Nikan the water products specifically. It's a microsite, and so you'll have your own personalized microsite if that's what you choose. It's a third-party person who's put this together for me, and I asked them to give me a price. If somebody wanted to have it for themselves, they could replicate it, and off you go. So I was looking to put some testimonies on that site, and 3, because I have 3 testimonies for the sport bottle, and you saw one of them. My son Michael's is one of them, and then my other 2 daughters. And I used my son Michael's specifically because I thought he did a really good product testimonial, which wasn't about the features of the product. It was about the benefits he experienced. Like when he was in Italy, he saved a whole bunch of money. That's a benefit. So I was dropping hints. Did you notice? What did you notice? What did you hear me trying to say in so many words?
Benefits, benefits, benefit.
Yes. Yes. Benefits, 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 which is not features, features, features. And I tell you, I was actually quite surprised at how difficult this turned out to be. For many of you, you weren't getting it. And then I thought, wow, well, this is a small example of probably a larger problem. We've recently had some work done with John Livesey, who's teaching us how to do storytelling and how to tell our story and so forth. But it seems many of you have forgotten how to tell a story. A simple thing like a testimonial has become a complicated thing for you. And so this is an important, I think, identification of one of the problems that you're having in your business is you don't know when to stop talking about features and switch to benefits or to leverage the stories of people who tell benefits. In other words, it's almost as if rather than telling a testimony, you're doing another presentation. And so think about that. Think about the impact of stories and how important stories are. For me, for instance, on the event last weekend, which, by the way, congratulations to all the people who participated in that event. I thought they did a fantastic job. It was an excellent event. They covered a lot of great information. I love the stories. For me, the stories is the best part of every one of these events. And I hope you get a sense of that. You know, it's like back in the day when we did a wellness preview, we would talk, and then finally we got people to come up to the front of the room and tell their stories. That's when the meeting really got started. The energy would completely change, and you wonder, why do we even talk? Why don't we just simply tell stories? It turns out that's a pretty good idea because Leo LeMay, that's what he's doing on this night. Leo, you just had an event at 8 o'clock, yes? And how many were on your event?
Each weekend and each week, 30%.
About 30 people. How many of them were guests?
20, 18,
2/3. Now, ask yourselves, everyone else on this call, when's the last time you had 2/3 guests, 1/3 consultants in any meeting you've done? When's the last time that happened for you? If it ever happened for you. So clearly, what are we learning here? Stories. Facts tell, whoopee-doo. Stories sell. And if you want to attract people to the products or the opportunity, it isn't going to be the facts. It's going to be the stories that do it. And there's a reason for it, a logistical reason, which we'll get into. It has to do with the subconscious mind. It has to do with the limbic system, the emotional system that actually runs our life. So what Leo is he's hitting a home run every week because he's just limiting the dialogue to stories. And obviously stories are testimonials, and testimonials are what? Benefits. You might weave a feature or two into it, but it must be a benefit statement. Like, this is great because it allows me to do such and such. I love this part of the product because da-da-da-da-da-da. Or I love the taste of the water because now I drink more water, which, by the way, seems to be unanimous on all those video entries. So testimonies are not presentations. They're your story. And you don't tell your story from a third person as if you're telling somebody how, in the case of these video testimonies, for instance, you don't talk about the benefits from the point of view of how somebody who's listening or buying the product might benefit. That's third party. You talk about how you personally have benefited. And so I finally had to say, just imagine, just put your camera down, forget all the graphics, the videos, the cuts, the pastes, the music, just put your camera in front of you. And imagine on the other side of that camera lens is a friend in your kitchen. Tell them why you love this product. Start with, I love my Nikan waterfall because, or why I love my Nikan waterfall. I mean, it had to get to that part. It had to get broken down to that simplicity because it wasn't happening. Now, that's, again, some of those video entries are really good videos for social media. And you do have the makings of a great social media piece, which has a few of the features, has a little bit about the problem and the solution, etc., which is great. To do something like that in 1 minute that you can post on social media and direct people to your page is excellent. But it's not going to be as powerful as your story. Never, ever will it be as powerful as your personal story. Your personal story will always, always attract more people. why you love, because what happens when you tell somebody why you love something? What happens? Do they just not want to know anymore, or do they ask you questions? They start asking questions, right? The goal is to attract. Mary, did you have a question?
Yes, Michael. When you said benefits, I was worried about, like, I could tell you the water actually helped me get off LoSAC, which was for acid reflux. And I couldn't even garden. That's how bad my acid reflux was. And so, and I was going to do that, but I thought, no, I'm not supposed to talk about, health and disease and all of these things.
What's another word for acid reflux? How would you describe the symptoms of acid reflux so that the rest of the audience could understand what it means? In other words, your disease is a name that the medical establishment has locked up for their own profits, not yours.
Yeah.
But there's a way to describe that condition that every human being can relate to. There's words you can use to describe the symptoms. What does it make you feel like? Like, I wait, I have time. I don't know what after, that time, sometimes you feel like you're gagging and there's this feeling in your throat that's, it's just awful. Well, I started drinking the water and it stopped. It went away. I can't tell you how much that changed my life. I used to deal with this every single day, how difficult it was to even eat food. And now I don't have that problem. See, I could say it without saying it. And it sounds so damn good because more people can relate to that.
Okay. Yeah. I just didn't know how to do it. And I thought I better not even go there, so.
Well, okay. But at the same time, I'm glad people did. There is a burning sensation in my throat that bothers me at night if I lay down flat. Perfect. That's another way of describing it. So I'm glad we went through this. I didn't expect it to become a learning opportunity, a teaching opportunity, which I think it really is, because facts tell, stories sell, and we just aren't telling enough of our stories. And we're not telling our story, especially if you've been in Nikan a long time. And you think, well, it's funny because even on this weekend, I heard people say, as they started their testimonial, many of you probably already heard my story. Never, ever begin that way, ever. If you've been invited to speak a testimony, the person that you're speaking to is not somebody who's heard it. Even if everybody on that call's heard it, it's the person watching the video playback who's never heard it. Get yourself into the state of mind who you're talking to is somebody who's never heard your story, and tell it like you're telling it for the first time. And then take the disease out. Figure out, okay, what are the symptoms? What does it cause me? What does it prevent me from doing in life? These things that now I can do because of the Nikan product. Think in those terms. They say, think like a grade 5, person at the grade 5 level, the language of somebody in the grade 5 level, that they can relate to it. And I'm telling you, this is an important exercise because our exponential growth is only going to happen if we get this right. If we start telling stories, more stories, more stories. The facts come when people want to know more. You can inundate somebody with facts and they're not interested. They're not going to hear because you haven't identified with them yet. So first things first, let's draw them in with a story.
Share, Michael, if it's okay with you.
I'm sorry?
It's okay, I can share something. It's a small thing.
Okay.
Okay. Somebody told me, like, what is the 1 million problem you're gonna solve with the benefit or with the product, or
What's the big thing you're going to solve, right? But I
say 1 billion or 1 million problem.
In other words, what's the problem you're going to solve? What's the ultimate problem you're going to solve by stating that benefit? Yeah, that's for instance, when it comes to water, taste is a big one. I noticed that almost hands down, everybody's video said the water tasted way better. That's why they drink more water. If that's all it did, think about it. If that's all it did, and you drink more water because it tastes better. That's reason enough. It's a simple thing, but it's actually reason enough, because most people don't drink water because they don't like the taste of it. And then it's very expensive if they want good tasting water. And not only is it expensive, but it's got a terrible footprint on the planet. So you see what I mean? Those are benefits that you've benefited from, but put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's not heard your story before, not another Nikan consultant. You're not talking to another Nikan consultant. We got to get out of that habit. Oh, you've all heard my story before. Get out of that habit. Catch yourself before you say it. If you've been asked to speak on a call, don't talk to the audience as if they are people that you've known all your life. These calls are being done for a reason. They're being done to introduce new people, give new people a reason to join us. There are calls where we talk like we do in this one, where we've known each other. But when we're doing calls at a public level for new people, just keep that in mind, who your target audience is. Write that thing down. Who's my target audience? Who am I talking to? Who's my target audience? And then, talk to that person, regardless of who else is on the call. Okay, we're getting into a lot more than I expected to regarding this. But I think it's just really, really critical that we get much, much more diligent about how we tell our story, and that we tell our story, that we learn to share testimonials and not do little commercials. The commercials, there's a place for, but the goal of this exercise was tell your story, tell your testimonial, benefits, benefits, benefits. It's not a pitch, because guess what? You know where this is going? I'll show you. I said I was going to show you, so let me go ahead and get that page up. Give me 1 second.
Mike, while you do that, could I share a testimonial?
Sure.
Over the weekend, trying to get my house in order after a move in the ice and the snow and being locked down because of the ice, primarily in New York. I was listening to Mike Ranger, the health, Mike Adams, the health ranger, and he is in Texas where they lost power, they lost it, people's water froze and everything. And he was putting out a pitch for gravity-fed water filters because there were people out there that had no water.
Of course.
And he said, I have a Berkey, but I'm sure there are a lot of good gravity-fed water filters out there. So I'm, of course, preparing to respond to that. It was a broadcast today and yesterday where he pushed gravity-fed. And I want to go on to Bright Eon Social and post a comparison, the benefits of our waterfall gravity-fed water system, water filter. And I would ask you, is it a good idea to compare the good Berkey filter, the benefits of that, versus our waterfall, which doesn't take as much space, it's not as heavy, and there are a number of benefits.
I don't ever think it's good to compare, ever.
Okay.
Sell what you got. You're not competing with them. You're competing with an audience that doesn't know what is available to them. Show them what's available.
Okay, so that's my next project tonight.
So have a look at what I'm showing you here. So this would be the sport bottle. And if you click on the buy now button, it goes immediately to, guess where? The sport bottle. And this particular URL is Savannah, my daughter. So this one was put together for her. Let me see if I can get back. Oh, it's a different page. Hang on. Did you see the page that it went to? Did it go to that page? The sport bottle page? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So now how do I get back? These menu bars at the top here make it impossible for me to do what I need to do. Here we go. Okay, so I want to show you the home page again. Might be easier if I do that. There we go. Okay, so there's the sport bottle. And okay, so imagine now somebody's going through this because they got here. however you got them here, maybe your little commercial. But when they get to the testimonials part, you want to have a testimony that says why they love the product. So that's the goal of that, was to create something for the waterfall system. So you see these 3 testimonials. The one that I shared with you guys was Michael's. And he talks about the benefits of the Sport bottle. So I want to have 3 testimonials for the waterfall section. Same thing, which I don't have in place yet. And so what I was asking for is, what are the benefits? Because I already knew they will have gone through this information, and however they got here was already a commercial of some kind. So it was just the benefits. And then I realized, wow, people are having a really hard time understanding what a testimonial is. Either I'm not being clear, or they're just not reading what's being said, or they don't have an understanding of what is being said. Benefits, benefits, benefits. Barb, did you have a question?
Not a question, just a statement. I have 3 customers in Texas. And so I immediately contacted, they all have the water system. So I asked them to share it with their neighbors that don't have water. I said, take the icicles, melt them, you know, however you can, put the water in your waterfall, and you've got potable water to drink. So I've heard back from 2 out of the 3 that their waterfall literally saved the day, and they have been telling other people about it. We haven't had any sales for these people yet, but we may still get them. But I contacted them immediately and told them to, you know, to trust their waterfall because it's gravity fed. They didn't need electricity to run it. They didn't need a plumbing hookup. They're all dealing with burst pipes now. So, yeah.
So maybe everybody ought to be buying a waterfall as a measure. It should be part of their safety arsenal, even if they didn't use it or have a backup. I have 3 backups here in my house. Because
Well,
I figure if we lost water, my neighborhood is going to need water.
I talked with the one customer. She's a very, very good customer, and she has sold 3 or 4 waterfalls. So I suggested that in view of the fact that they don't know what's ahead, it would be a good idea to have 1 or 2 as a spare that she could loan out and let people use. And then she could earn the income when they turned around and decided to purchase the item. So she's considering that.
Okay, let's get back on course here. So testimonials. So we all understand that a testimonial is your story from your personal point of view. What are the benefits you've received using any one of these products in a language that people can understand, a lay language, not a medical language. Even if you know the medical terms, stay away from them. Describe them as, you know, symptoms. What does it make you feel? And what does it prevent you from being able to do? And now, how's that changed since you've used the Nikken products? So I think the point I'm getting here is maybe you ought to think about your own story. Just pick a product and create a story. I know you probably have already done this exercise with John Lifesey, but if you haven't, you really ought to do this. And when you onboard somebody new in the business, part of your helping them get started needs to be how to tell their story. We call that the personal success story, and it usually begins with the product. So coaching someone on how to deliver a personal success story, starting with the product, I think is a very, very critical element of helping somebody get their Nikken business started. Because they're going to tell that story forever. They're going to be telling that story. That story will evolve, but it will grow from their product experience to their business experience, as does mine. If you ever get me on an ABC call, you will hear my product story. You will hear my introduction to Nikken. And you'll hear me tell the story about my back and how I was given a credit card size a gold piece of foil that said Nikken on it and told stick it in my back, and I did, and so forth. You'll hear that story. So let's get good at it, because it's the best thing we got. It's the storytelling that does all the selling. Now, I did want to switch gears, but before I do, is there anybody that has a question about what we're talking about? A question, not a statement. Okay, cool. I think you might like this. So I was invited to a call. Elaine Brewster's call. How many of you have been on Elaine's call, by the way? Let me switch here for a second so I can see you all again. How many of you have been on Elaine's call? She's doing a call now on Fridays. And I was a guest speaker last Friday. She had one before, the Friday before, who did about water. This coming Friday, Elaine, who is it?
It's Annalyn Osborne on the body code.
Oh,
And
yes, cool.
ATT or ETF, it's on tapping.
Tapping, yeah. And then the following week you have my daughter, I believe.
Yep.
Cool. So anyway, it's a great call she's doing. It's a 30-minute call. She's to the point about that. And it's just an insightful call as a, how would I term that? This is her community outreach. This is her way of establishing herself as a source in the community for information relevant to current issues with respect to health and things that are pertinent to the NECAN conversation. So it's her way of doing a community outreach. And I think everyone ought to be doing that because that's our job. Our job is to do community outreaches, and those things translate into attracting more people, more followers, and more consumption, more sharing, the whole thing, right? That's the community. So her contribution to community is this community outreach thing that she's doing now. I think it's a great idea, and I think everybody ought to maybe take a stab at it, just like you did the video, those of you especially who jumped in on that. I did this presentation. It was quick to the point, but I did this because it was fresh in my mind. You should be able to see this on your screen. Somebody give me a nod if you can see it. Alessia, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, I changed the title. It used to be called The Law of Attraction. And now I call it The Law of Everything, because actually it is. A better description is it's the law of everything. The reason the world goes round is this, the law of everything. So I want to just rifle through this because I watched, again, some of you were on Bob Proctor's 5 days, the freebie he did this week, 45-minute sessions, 50-minute sessions. Of course, it was a plug for his business and his business stuff, but he gave 45 minutes of, what he teaches. And it was great to participate in that or to plug into it. And the replay is free of charge, by the way, and he's extended it for the rest of the week. If somebody wants to have access to that, just give me a ping on my WhatsApp and I'll send you the link. But I'm reminded of the stuff that I teach in a way that I think could be useful, again, just as a important message to your success in business and in life. He reminds us, and I'm reminded, and we've talked about this, 95, in fact, his number I think is 98% of everything you do is based on the subconscious mind. So we could teach skills. I could spend, I'm good at skills. I can give you guys skills. And if skills is something that you find you need more of or want me to give you more of, insights of what, techniques or whatever, we have an open discussion about that, we can do that. But you won't do the fundamentals, even if they're the simplest of things, if you're fighting against yourself, which you are 99% and 98% of the time. So I want to address that, because if you don't have the tool to deal with that, you will not be able to do what you want to do in life. Period. End of story. So what is the tool? And that's not just for you. As a coach, as somebody who's potentially a coach and mentor to other people, knowing how to deal with this, because you're going to encounter this in the people that you enroll in NECAN 100% of the time, 100% of the time. So having this tool, I think, is really important. I'm reminded that we live in a world where the opportunities that present themselves, that hit our radar, are based on what we believe to be true, whether these truths are real or false. So if you believed, like a 1,000 years ago, the world believed the world was flat, you would have limited perception of reality and therefore limited perception of what's possible. You could only entertain ideas that were consistent with that paradigm, the paradigm or the belief that the world was flat. You would never imagine, no scientist would have imagined circumventing the globe. No scientist or engineer would have imagined launching a satellite into space into orbit. We would not have cell phones and the communications that we do today. So our view of reality is not reality, it's just our view of it, and it limits our possibilities for ourselves. It doesn't limit possibility, because obviously the world at some point switched from being flat to being round. Well, the world actually didn't. What changed was our perception of it, our point of view, for whatever information and awareness was brought to our attention. But because we then adopted a new awareness, and by the way, when there is a new paradigm shift, does everybody immediately say, oh, of course, the world is round, it's not flat? Do they immediately let go of all their beliefs that have been passed on for generations? Of course not. It takes time to go from one paradigm to another. And sometimes people will even flat out reject the evidence that the new paradigm is real and the old one is false. They'll literally reject it because they don't want the change. They are resistant to the change. Sound like anybody you know? So if we're talking about success, happiness, health, and wealth, and you're trying to shift your paradigm to a greater degree of happiness, health, and wealth for yourself or the people you're enrolling, they're coming into this business from the world that's flat, and you're trying to show them the world is round. Do you think there might be some resistance? Even though they know they want the round world, they're still living with the paradigms of the flat earth. And I'm talking metaphorically, of course, in terms of beliefs. So we need to help them switch. We need to help them realize that their current experience in life, their current circumstances, they're driven by their circumstances, not by their vision. Their current circumstances are limiting them to their current circumstances. They need to reject their current circumstances and all the beliefs that are associated with that. Easier said than done, but that's still what has to happen. That's the work. Now, I got this slide up here because it's a cool slide. It reminds us that even though we're looking at water that's subjected to different ideas, and these ideas were actually written on the outside of a jar of the water. Then it was frozen, and then they looked at the water under a microscope. The word itself is an expression of energy. It has an energy signature, the word. You can speak the word, it has an energy signature. You can feel the word, it has an energy signature. Everything is energy. Words are energy. The fact that you've structured a word with letters means you've created something. There's a creation there, and it has a frequency, it has a vibration, and it is impacting the physical world. You can do it with words, you can do it with thoughts. You can actually only do it in terms of thinking. What you see here is on the right-hand side, water before and after Buddhist prayer. That's a meditative state where they're thinking and feeling a certain thing. And what happens is that thinking, feeling state of mind and body projects into the universe and creates a reality around them. So your thoughts and feelings are actually having a physical effect on the world around you. And the world around you, by the way, is comprised of largely water. Your body is 70% plus water. The people you're talking to are 70% plus water. So the thoughts and feelings you're projecting are creating a reality, are having an impact in the physical world around you. This is why what I teach, what I talk about, why I've grasped this so strongly as I've developed in Nikan, was because my success was a function of my thinking and feeling, my state of being, my attitude. And everything that I've studied about the idea of success is that it has taught me that. So if I hope to ever help anybody have a better outcome in life, it's not enough to have a different vehicle. It's not enough. And I've experienced that. Haven't you? Have you not brought people into Niken and watched them fall flat on their face and then wonder, how is that even possible? It's frustrating. It's a struggle because you know you've brought them into a situation that will do nothing but support their evolution and their growth, and they simply short circuit their ability to succeed. So if we're not really tending to the source of the problem, we're just going to be churning people constantly. And okay, that's part of that. You know, that's why we have to go out and get some other people. Some people are wired right, they've already done the crash course in developing self-development or evolution. It's a never-ending project, but just the same, this slide shows us that our thoughts and our feelings have an effect on the physical world around us because we're all energy, and that energy is coming from one source. It's connected to all things, and it looks exactly the same, regardless if it's a living tissue or an inanimate object. There's only one source of energy, and that energy is omnipresent. The only thing that distinguishes that key from the leaf beside it is its frequency, not its energy. They're both energy, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just can be altered in vibration. So we need to get in harmony with what it is that we want to experience. That's it. That's the key. That is the key. All things are connected through this source of energy. The unified field theory is real. They've been working on that since Einstein's theory of relativity, that everything is connected. That means the star that's 100 billion light years away from us right now is still connected to us. So those of you who are fans of astrology and astronomy, there's reason why it's in our history books. There's reason why there are people who rely on it for symbolism, for ideas, for insights, and so forth, because it's all connected. Everything is energy, and all energy vibrates. Don't know if you can see that on your page. Vibrates. So the distinction between one thing and another thing is not energy, it's the vibration of the energy, the frequency of the energy. And so if you really want to do a little bit of due diligence in what I consider really legible books, these books are legible. Intention Experiment, The Hidden Messages in Water by Emoto. Intention Experiment and The Field are both written by Lynn McTaggart, brilliant stuff. And she gets into some stuff there that you'll just go like, wow. I've talked about this, the plant experiment and whatnot. It's really, really cool stuff. But I can take from this, I can tell you what you'll extract from this if you're really looking at it, you know, what's the golden thread through all of this? The golden thread is the equation that you learn in HBM. Intention plus mechanism equals results. We know this equation, and we're taught what is the relative importance of intention versus mechanism in producing a result. And what we learn from that is, if you have a million different ways of getting from here to Chicago, does it matter if you don't intend to go to Chicago? So all the mechanisms in the world are not going to get you to Chicago. You have to have the intent, and then you'll figure out what mechanism or what multiple mechanisms you'll use. So in the end, the only thing that makes anything happen is intention. And that's what the science is showing us, that it's not the mechanism itself. In fact, the mechanism appears. The mechanism comes forward after the intent is set in stone. Isn't that cool? So somehow there's a connection between the result and the intention, and that thing that brings the two together, the mechanism, is in the invisible world. It's in a world that we can't even see. It manifests itself in many very interesting synchronistic ways. And so many people are saying, well, I don't know how to get it done. Well, why would you have to know how to get it done when you don't know how to get it done unless it's done? You don't have to know how to get it done. You just have to be sure that it's what you want, and you need to make a decision to do it. And then the mechanism will appear. That's how it works. That's so cool, and that's so important, because now it solves the dilemma of people always stonewalling themselves because they think they don't know how. Make that assumption. I want you to make the assumption from now on that everybody you sponsor is of the opinion they don't know how. So they are going to be stonewalling themselves without you being involved in the situation. They'll be doing it on their own, in their own time, at their own home, in their own way. They'll be slowing themselves down because they don't think they know how. Make the assumption that they don't think they know how. Now teach them something. Teach them that they don't need to know how, that the how shows up once they make a committed decision. Another word for intention is the idea, the thought of what it is that you want to see manifest, and the energy behind that thought. The intention is like a frequency. It's energy with a specific channel, specific frequency. It's emotionalized intention, emotionalized thought. That's the best way of looking at what is intention? Emotionalized thought. Thought with frequency, and the more energy in that frequency, the more emotion in that energy, the more charged it is, the more power it has. So now, how does it work in making things happen? Again, you've seen me do this. I've done this a number of ways. A line is your current results. So you're thinking thoughts, and those thoughts are making you feel what you're feeling, and feeling is frequency that you are aware of. Feeling is just another word for saying, I'm aware of the frequency I'm on right now. I feel like crap. That's a frequency. I'm feeling it. I'm aware I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the frequency I'm on. I feel amazing. I'm feeling it. I'm thinking it. I'm aware of the frequency I'm on. Okay? So current reality is the sum total of the current thinking that's going on in you, conscious and unconscious. That's conjuring up the feelings in you, whether you're conscious of how you're getting those feelings or unconscious, whether those feelings are being drummed by circumstances outside of you, or whether you're actually drumming them up yourself. People can make themselves feel like crap, but usually they rely on outside stimulus to make themselves feel like crap. They let the news tell them how they should feel. They let everybody around them tell them how they should feel. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think I should think? And so we let circumstances, current reality, determine how we're thinking and feeling, which perpetuates current reality. And that's why things don't change. And you might have a goal, the C line, but if you don't change your thinking and how you feel about what you're thinking about, you're not going to change your results. Your mind and your thoughts must operate on the same frequency as your goal. Now, if you've never achieved this goal, you may need to ask somebody who has, so that you could start to get an idea of the kind of thoughts they think. Otherwise, you won't even know what to think. So it's a good idea to ask somebody to help you, to have a coach who's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, because that's a person who can instruct you on the kind of thoughts that are consistent with the goal. Some of you can imagine it, I'm sure, but it's not reliable. It's more reliable to actually utilize the thinking and thought processes of somebody who's already achieved the goal. So there's a reason why we should have a coach and a mentor, why you should plug into somebody, why you should give somebody permission to clean up the stinking thinking. Because those thoughts may not be consistent with what you're trying to achieve. So we need to feel the feelings associated with those thoughts. Imagination is a beautiful way to do that. My daughter did a fantastic meditation on Sunday, which, by the way, she's doing every Sunday for those of you who want, at 11:11 a.m. Eastern. If you want to plug into her channel, it's at the Mind Palace. I think it's at themindpalace.ca on Instagram. If you got Instagram, go to @themindpalace.ca and just check in there at 11:11 a.m. on Sundays, and you'll have an amazing experience. I did this Sunday. And what she will help you do is she'll help you connect the thoughts and the feelings so that you can actually feel the feelings, which is the key. Imagination is the tool that we have as human beings. That's our higher faculty that allows us to feel the feeling of our thoughts. Again, a great way to do that is to plug into somebody who feels the feelings, because they're already there. And then you can get a better glimpse of what it feels like to be a person who's achieved that particular goal. Okay. Now, the easiest way to stay in that frequency, because that's going to be the challenge. It's not only getting to that frequency, figuring out what you want, it's staying in that frequency when 95% of the time, your subconscious mind is trying to drag you back to where you know yourself to be. The person you know yourself to be, the A person. You're not the C person, you're the A person. And the paradigm, those thoughts and feelings that you currently own and possess and know so well on a subconscious and a conscious level, are going to be drawing you down to that place the second you set a goal. So don't be surprised when you or anybody on your team sets a goal. The first thing that's going to happen instantaneously before they even set it to pen to write it down, the first thing is going to be the paradigm's going to speak. The person you know yourself to be, the A person, is going to jump up and say, excuse me, you think you're going to do what? You think you're going to do what? You think you're who? You're what? And immediately it's going to rear its ugly head and show up, because that's its job. It doesn't like change. It likes to be reinforced. And so we reinforce it constantly with identification. This is my car. This is my house. This is my bank account. This is my income. This is my this. This is my that. This is, I've got this degree and I got that. So all this stuff we've piled up on top of ourselves to give ourselves an identity is working against us, because it's not a reflection of what we want to be. It's just a reflection of what we've adopted. And then later in life, you even justify it. I can't stand this life, but at least it's mine. Think about it. People do justify their existence, even if they don't enjoy it. So we need to get out of this crappy thinking. This is on purpose, guys. We do this with purpose and intent. That's why we learn. We become aware of the tool of how to shift our thoughts and our feelings, and then we do it on purpose consistently. So how do we get into that feeling of moving into to the right place? Well, most people think, I'll just set a goal that I think I can achieve. Well, let's just start with that. Let's start really small. Let's start a goal that I think I can achieve. There's only one problem with that goal. It's not enough to energize you. Remember, intention equals results if intention is thoughts that's energized. What does it take for you to think about a small movement in your life? Success is very inconvenient in that regard. If it's not a strong why, if it's not a big enough why, there's not enough energy in it. There's not enough battery power. And so it's just too easy to stay in the A line. It's just too easy to I'll skip that meal. I'll skip I'll do the thinking later. I'll do the meditation later. I'm going to eat the hamburger now. I'll go on the diet later, et cetera, et cetera. It's just not enough energy. So don't even think about something that's marginal. Don't marginalize yourself, because you'll lose. Most people who set small goals don't get them because they're too small. They are fighting against their paradigm, which is ingrained. It's been in there for a long, long time. So how do we get past that? We've got to set a goal that's bigger than that. Something that we really, really want. And what do we really, really want? We want what's in our heart. So get in touch with what's in your heart. What do you really, really want? Do you know what's in your heart conjures up thoughts? And those are the thoughts we need to be thinking. And then all you need to do is make a committed decision to keep doing that. Keep thinking those thoughts, keep feeling those feelings. I mean, how hard is that? It's what you want anyways. Well, it's hard because you're, number one, going up against the paradigm. And then number two, you're going up against everybody around you that's part of the paradigm. All your family, all your friends, all your work associates and so forth who know you to be a particular person, they're not going to recognize the other you, the C you. So who is going to help you recognize that part of you, that C person? Again, it's going to be who you surround yourself with. It's going to be who you give permission to hold you accountable to that vision, to those thoughts, to those feelings. And if it's truly what you want in your heart, it's not difficult to do, to feel what you really want in your heart. It's much more difficult to do something you think you should do, but it's much easier to do something you know you want to do. Even if it's big. So we need to think and act like the person we want to be. We have to hold those thoughts constantly. So really quick, let me give you a different picture. It's called the stick person. The top of your head there, that's your conscious mind. That's where you do your thinking, your conscious thinking. The lower part is the subconscious mind. It's the heart. Whatsoever a man keepeth in his heart, you know, so shall it be. I forget the exact quote, but you know what I'm talking about. That's where you host your feelings. So it's what you feel about a thought. So if I say money, what do you feel? That's in the subconscious mind. It's a program. It's already there. You don't have to think about it. It just shouts out. Then let's call that your body, the physical part, how you manifest. Remember the water? When we think certain thoughts or feel certain feelings, everything changes. The water changes. Our body changes. The frequency that we're projecting into the world changes, and that creates a result. Now, there's only one source of power. It's the creative power of life. And it comes into us and it moves through us and expresses itself through us. This infinite power is not right. It's not wrong. It's not positive. It's not negative. It's just power. But through our imagination, we can imagine an idea. Let's say the idea is then impressed on the subconscious mind because it's a great idea. And we fall in love with this idea. We imagine ourselves to be that person. We start acting like that person. And because we're acting like that person, we're going to start producing results that are consistent with being that person. And that's how it works. So let's say you have a goal. Royal Diamond. That's a big goal. It could be Club Ki. Let's make it something, you know, maybe you can fight for this next quarter, this next 3 months. Club Ki. You imagine what it would be like to be recognized as a new person who did Club Ki and all the rewards that go with that. Cool. I know what Leo's thinking. Leo's not thinking Club Ki only, because attached to Club Ki every quarter for him is winning another trip around the world somewhere with Team Kaizen. So he's got in his head Team Kaizen, and he knows Club Ki is a given, and 500 points, that's what he has to do every month, minimum, personal volume. So he's imagining this idea before it's happened. It's a good idea. And so he acts like the person who's going to get that done. That's why he gets it done. Trouble is, most of us came into this world and we learned through our 5 senses: sight, sound, touch, smell. I missed one. Taste. So through our 5 senses, we observe the world and we're bombarded with ideas from our family, from our friends, from our priest, from our whatever. And there it is. Those are the senses. I don't know if you can see that. See, hear, smell, taste, and touch. But you know what? We also have higher faculties. The will to do something. I think it was Werner von Braun was put in charge of the space program back in the early 60s when Kennedy was president. And Kennedy made a decision. He made a decision that they're going to put a man on the moon. Did they have the technology to do it then? Did they have the science? They didn't even have the math. You guys should watch that movie. There's a great movie that was done about that. The women who helped actually create the math. And he asked Werner von Braun, what's it going to take to put a man on the moon? And not even 10 seconds went by. His response was the will to do it. The higher faculty tells us that we can imagine that future. If we have the will to do it. Going by what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, we don't have any history of going to the moon. So we can't go by that, our senses, our physical senses. We have to go by our higher faculties to invent that future reality. And that's true about every future reality for yourself. You've got will, imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. Those are the higher faculties. Where do you learn how to exercise those? Early on in life, we're taught not to imagine. Stop daydreaming. Get back here. Do your math. Do your physics. Do what we're telling you to do. We're held back from exploring our higher faculties. So what happens is we get a lot of bombardment of negative ideas about ourselves, about the world we're living in, about what's possible for us. It's a flat world out there, young man. You got your lot in life. And that's all you get. And so we've got all these ideas that have been impregnated into us that are competing with our great ideas. And this confusion within us is expressed in our feeling of confusion and doubt and fear. And so that double binding message, that plus minus, that we're frequency on, our feeling of frequency, anxiety, doubt, can lead to depression. This frequency is not going to produce a result that's very compelling in terms of positive. So this is what we're dealing with daily. How do we deal with it? How do we change it? Well, there's a way to do it. We circumvent the subconscious mind. We remind ourselves we don't need to know how. All the doubt in the world doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. We start to train our mind to think of what's relevant and what's not, even if it's popular, even if it's common. It was very popular to think the world was flat. It was very common to believe the world was flat. Do you know that health, wealth, and happiness is not an actually very common thing? Most people are not happy, not healthy, and not wealthy. So if you want to be common, just, blend in with the rest of the bunch. But if you want to be uncommon, you're going to have to go up against the grain, which means you're going to have to reject. Use your power of will and reason to reject ideas, thoughts, and feelings that you're conjuring up that are not going in the right direction for you. So how do we do that? We do that with this beautiful, simple idea called faith. Now, I had this interesting conversation this weekend about faith. Faith is not blind. Faith is not an imaginary Santa Claus in heaven wishing good things on me and bad things on somebody else. Faith is that there is a lawful process by which creation creates. If I was born in the likeness and image of the Creator, then I am born with the faculties of will, imagination, memory, intuition, reason to create. I have the ability to create as does the Creator. Let there be light. That's an imagined idea. And boom, there's light. So faith is not blind. Faith is faith in a lawful process. Faith in the law of everything. Faith in the law of frequency. That as I hold the ideas in my head and in my heart that are consistent with what it is that I want, then I will manifest those things by the laws of physics that govern the physical reality of our universe. Hence, those water molecules change shape because somebody's thinking different. Somebody's feeling different. And that's how it works. It's not a mystery, it's science. It's not sometime, it's always. I don't have to have a lot of faith to be able to recognize that. I just have to have the awareness of the law, which is why I do the studying I do, why I'm teaching what I'm teaching right now. I'm so passionate about it because to me, it's as real as my hand. And so the results for me are never a mystery, ever. They're always simply a consequence. I can look at the results and figure out backwards what somebody was thinking or feeling, or what somebody is usually thinking and feeling. So thoughts, feelings, and actions, the consistency of thoughts, feelings, and actions are what we mean when we say attitude. And what is the best attitude one can have if they're operating on faith? Because they know the law is at work. The best attitude is the attitude of gratitude. When you're grateful, you're at peace. You're not in competition. When you're feeling gratitude, you can't be feeling anxiety. Those are not possible. To feel those two things at the same time is impossible. So you are shunting what's underneath the hood, what would otherwise keep you from what you want. Doubt, fear, all those things. The second you notice that that's happening, turn it off. Reject it. Get thee behind me, Satan. Figure something in your mind that brings you into the state and harmony with what it is that you want. Be grateful for receiving what you want, and you've got it. That's it. Now you are operating in harmony. If you're grateful for receiving what you want as though you've already received it, wait, that sounds like something familiar. Whatsoever ye ask for and ye pray for, ask as though ye have received them and ye shall receive them. That's biblical. Hello, that's the law of everything. Well, it's 10:01. Before we wrap up here, any thoughts, any questions?
Yeah, for me, Michael, I need to just review this probably every day.
Hey, listen, I did. I made my car a library. Listen, I was a musician. I used to listen to music every single day. My own music, other music. And then when I got into this world and I wanted to understand this world, everything that was in my car from that point forward, for the most part, was listening to other people talking about these ideas, these thoughts. I was listening to Bob Proctor. I was listening to people he was listening to, and so forth, because it's through repetition, by the way. There's two ways to shift the paradigm: shock or spaced repetition. And I don't think any of us want shock, except maybe Angelica. She likes to shock her body in ice. She's now used to it. She's not even shocked by it anymore, right? So no, we don't.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the whole story. I don't shock my body. I respect my body, and I.
You've
center
reconditioned
myself.
your body. You've reconditioned yourself to be able to
I train
lie in the
myself, yeah.
snow, bare skin in the snow, and just go like, wow, this feels so amazing. That's.
I'm gonna do ice bath after this. Huh? I'm
Do you
going
understand?
outside.
Do you know, Angelica, what you're doing with your body this way, and what you're exercising in terms of your will, and you're reconditioning your paradigm? You can apply to anything. You can make anything you want to happen, because if you can do that, you're playing with physics. You're physically dealing with the environment around you. Then you can apply this to everything, because you're making your muscle in your brain very strong. Your ability to exercise will and focus is wow. So your ability to have an intention and manifest that intention is being multiplied by you exercising this. And this is what we're talking about when Elaine, when we're listening to stuff over and over again. You'll start. The person on this call right now who's doing it faithfully is Mary Robson, who every single morning at 2:00 in the morning, I get a text message from telling me what she's listened to today. And it's every day. It's been for how long, Mary? How long you been doing this?
May the 3rd.
Mary, when are you going to start? What? I'm sorry, the year?
May the 3rd, 2020.
So today it was gratitude. You did your gratitude list. There's that word gratitude. Some left-hand writing to recondition her brain. So she's activating her right brain, which is the creative element. So, and you did a 70-minute drive with the Science of Getting Rich audiobook. Imagine 70 minutes listening to the audio Science of Getting Rich. That was just today or yesterday.
Yesterday.
So Mary, when are you going to be giving these lessons? Because I know you're in a position you can. You've done this for that long. You know this stuff.
Michael, I need to do it for a year. I made a commitment to do it for a year. So after May the 3rd, May the 4th, I'll be doing the lesson.
May the 4th be with you. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to wait for her for May the 4th to be the one that's doing the presentations next on this. And that's it, guys. It's not a mystery. It's not magic. It's just the law. And I think the reason why a Jesus matters in this context is because we needed an example of somebody who could operate the law, who could actually show us what the law looks like if you're operating it faithfully. And what it looks like is it stands up to everything. It has absolute no doubt in anything. Lazarus, come forth. mean, that's pretty powerful stuff. And remember, if the intention is energized correctly with enough energy behind that thought, the results are guaranteed. The mechanism is unknown. The mechanism is unknown. Like how you're going to meet the next person that's going to be on your team, it's unknown. The situation, the circumstances they're in, unknown. It will become known, but for the most part at this moment, it's unknown. But if you don't have the intent of meeting that person, whoever that person is, you'll never meet them. So what governs your results is the thoughts you're thinking and the energy you're putting into those thoughts. And guess what most people are thinking? Guess what most people are thinking? I hope I don't get COVID. Yeah, I hope I do. I probably already have. You know why? Because then I can deal with that stupid idea once and for all. Because it's not a big deal. Oh, but people have died. They were going to die anyway. I'm sorry to tell you. That's the truth. Not a single second later. Those of us who know there is such a thing as a creative power that has us right here. And when your time is up, it's up. Whether it's COVID, it's vitamin C deficiency, or you stub your toe and get hit by a car. Who the heck, whatever. When your time is up, it's up. And until then, live your life fully. Express the kingdom fully through you. Be everything you can be. Stop being a wimp. And I don't mean to be critical of anybody. I'm saying turn up the volume. Get in touch with life. Get in touch with love. Get in touch with liberty. All the things that you fight for. When you have your parades and you get your soldiers up there and they're doing all that. What's all that for? Is it just show business? Or is there really something behind it? Demonstrate it. Demonstrate your passion. Demonstrate your faith. Faith is an action word. Sorry if I woke some of you up, or maybe, I don't know, tripped some of you up, but I hope you got something out of this, because I think this is too critical to not really address, and keep addressing until you do what you need to do in order for it to become your enterprise, for it to become your passion, and it to become a part of your life on a daily basis, where you're integrating this into your life every day. You'll become unstoppable. And we need more people like that showing up in the world today, rather than wimping out because somebody goes on television and tells them they should be afraid. Damn that individual. God already has.
Mike, this was one of the most fantastic presentations you've ever made that I've heard.
Thank you. Well then, unless anybody has anything to say, we've already gone over time, I know, by quite a bit. So thanks for staying with me on the call. Maggie, you have something? I can't hear you, Maggie.
I'm trying to do May the 4th be with you.
Live long and prosper.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's show the world we mean business. How? By being upstanding, by being somebody who's fully integrated, whose thoughts, feelings, and actions are consistent with the person you want to know yourself to be and see yourself as. Let the world get to know that person now. You don't have to wait till your bank account changes or somebody puts a pin on your lapel. That's just a consequence. That's just a manifestation. That happens just as a natural cause and effect. That's just the law taking form. Plant the seed, the plant grows. That's just nature. But the seed, that's the important part. That's what makes you, you. Jesus said, know ye not that ye are gods, when he quoted Psalms, and he means that. Know ye not ye are gods. You have the ability to plant seeds and manifest those seeds. Born in the likeness and image of the Creator means you have the ability. And the source of that creation, there is only one source. There's ever only been one source. So don't have to worry about that. It's there. So take your rightful place. Choose now. Even if you've never done it before, do it now. Choose it. Well then, I don't know where all that came from, but I guess it just needed to get out.
5 days of Bob Proctor review.
Wow. Yeah, it's good. It's all good.
Inspired.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sticking with me. And we'll see you on the Niken Highway again next week. Cheers.
Thank you, Michael. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye.